Hello everyone, I'm Forrest McFreelava, and this is Let's Play Greece and Victoria 2, number 14. We left off at war with basically all of Western Europe and Germany, and all of their colonies. We've so far occupied all of Africa, all of India, and weirdly enough the British don't have any forces in China, so we're sending this group and we're going to try to just occupy all of British China. Japan is against us, but they don't seem to want to actually invade, so that's pretty helpful. There's only two active fronts. Right here, there is a single province dividing our forces from all of Western Europe, and that's been host to some pretty large battles over time. We have some backup forces, and we've just generally been cycling our troops in and out, and honestly, we're just winning that pretty thoroughly and consistently. The second major front just opened up as all the great powers seem to have just got access through Russia, and that was one we're not really all that well prepared for. We're going to have to go smash into this one French force, and other than that, our armies are all trying to just converge and deal with this as quickly as possible. The enemy alliance, their war goal is to free the Ottoman Empire, so all of the territories that we've spent this game seizing, they would have released. So obviously that's not really something we can allow. And yeah, we've made our own demands, as we are wont to do. And it looks like some French forces are going to sneak past us, which is deeply annoying. Although we are also winning all of the battles that are occurring. It looks as though the second battle of Gorizia has ended. The enemy alliance, which I'll just refer to from here on out as the Allies, have lost 500,000 troops. We lost 60,000. So needless to say, that part of the frontier is going just magnificently for us. And we just left behind a defense +3 general. We'll move back a defense well, actually, we'll leave the defense +4 general there too. And the rest of our forces we will just pull back, trying to leave more or less the strongest groups as close as possible to the frontier. And we'll pull back the rest of these forces and just have them park themselves in these various provinces. We'll move these troops back even further. And that should be good for now. I imagine the Germans and their allies will just kind of hurtle back at us in a moment, and we didn't take too much attrition when we pulled out of there, so that's very good. Oh, and that one French force did manage to escape, which is pretty annoying. We're not going to chase them down with 120,000 troops, or 109,000, which is more accurate, because everyone will die, and that's not very productive. We will turn around and try to deal with that British force, and we hadn't actually finished the conquest of all of India, or the occupation of all of India, but we're doing that right now, and we'll just merge those groups together so they're 30,000 strong. And other than that, we have a pretty small garrison for the subcontinent of India, but we'll draw even more of our forces out as well. And that should actually be a sufficient force. Right now we're fabricating war against Persia. We can also fabricate against Egypt at basically any point. So we're going to do that. Well, actually, can we? No, we can once we're done with Persia. That's what it was. Alright, at any rate, we'll move forward. We're also now no longer truced with Austria-Hungary, so we can go to war with them, and possibly Russia as well. Which we might end up doing simply because clearly the Allied armies are roving through their territory anyway, so it's not really like it matters all that much. We can also open up liquor prohibition. I'm going to go ahead and not do that, since all it does is lower our tax efficiency and piss everyone off. So we will avoid that. Can we get to this place before the British? September 22nd, we can get there on the 23rd, so looks like we're just going to chill where we're at. Our war score is not high enough to end the war, and I don't really know how long it'll take before we get to a place where it conceivably could be. It looks like the French managed to just park themselves right there. We will charge over with these armies, and the rest of our forces are just kind of shoveling up a little bit, trying to clear out any hostile armies while they move up, so that we don't have to just constantly be cleaning up after their occupation forces. So we will just go over here and surround the French army. Not entirely, but at least a good deal. We outnumber them considerably, so we'll probably just charge on in once we're done. Alright, we've begun our attack against these French forces. The British are attacking us, presumably in Turkey. Or Anatolia, we'll call it. Alright, and I don't know how well this is going, but they're getting better dice rolls than we are, so we're probably losing quite a few troops. Let's stop just going forward right now. It looks like there are British fascists rising up. We don't really want the British to become fascist, as it is a fairly effective political organization in Victoria too. But we're also not really going to spend lives and treasure stopping them. Alright, so it was right there, and apparently whenever I click that and it goes and takes us to a battle, it unpauses the game, which I hate. That is awful. And I've been wondering for this entire time that I've been playing Victoria 2 why it seems like it's just unpausing itself, and that is why. So that's annoying. There's not really anything else to say about that. We'll just try to not lose because of that. We'll slow the game down a little since we don't need to be hurtling forward. Oh, and look at that, I clicked on a battle, so of course it hurtled us to that and unpaused the game. Okay, so battles that aren't active, it doesn't seem like it does, but battles that are active. So places where we win, like right there, they're going to Jagbub, so we'll go chase them down. Looks like French armies are chilling about, moving into places and being intimidating. Looks like we caught one of them though, so that's nice. And we can't entirely surround this one French army. I'm not sure what they'll do afterwards. Alright, and that's a battle that is in progress, so it unpaused us, of course. I really wish that's something I could turn off, because that's going to be problematic over time. At any rate, we'll move these troops up a little. Come on, can we do that? There we go, move the troops up a bit. We beat some of those fascist rebels, we'll just leave those ones alone. We do need war score from occupying territories, and I'm not sure really any good ways of getting that other than breaking through in the middle of Germany, or in the middle of northern Italy, and then pressing further. So really, we have to win this battle decisively in order to press forward. That's probably not going to happen for a very long time, since I think the Germans alone have something like, what was it? It was 900 brigades, so that's 2.7 million German forces. Now, we are at 1.5 million, and I believe that's actually right now after all of the losses we've imposed upon them. Although we did just get Jagbub as a core, which I believe was where that battle just was fought. So we fought that battle, and the people appreciated our defense so much that they said they were integrally Greek for all of time. So that's kind of cool. Alright, we're just shoveling this entire army into that battle, and hopefully that'll be good enough. This force will just keep going up, occupying all of that stuff. And we did defeat the French right there, and we have this army going right there anyway, so they'll probably... Oh yeah, they managed to beat them to the punch. We don't really need to send any other forces there, but it is the quickest way through, so we will send one and send the other just around. Did we win this battle? Okay, cool. They're going to this one territory, which I don't think is quite a mountain. So we'll follow them, but we'll leave this one group behind since it's damaged. Alright, so that's going very well. And we are just winning outright. We'll move this force onto the mountains. It looks like we'll be able to basically just defeat that fairly easily. And this French army is retreating up to Basra. We'll chase them down, and we'll send the rest of these groups up to go reinforce against the British. Meanwhile, this battle is going decently well. We have a pretty tremendous defensive advantage from this general. So we're not really losing anybody at all, and that's really the way to keep it. Alright, so we won the other battles, so we'll just move these forces up, set up a defensive perimeter, let our people decide between free trade or protectionism, since I don't really care about that generally. And yeah, this is all going very well. We just have to worry about how are we... Oh, cool. And it looks like the Japanese moved out of there, so we'll send up a good force up here, and that basically gives us a place to defend Lower Italy and then also fall back to reinforce, if it comes up, which it may. Although they have been good about not attacking us there, for whatever reason. Alright, and it looks like this is actually the smallest defensive perimeter we could set, although I don't really want to defend right there since it basically cedes the mountain passes to the British, and that's obviously pretty suboptimal. So we'll send these troops up. We have a large amount of armies, so we can actually get a really good defensive position, and if they do come and attack us, which they might once that group finishes occupying. And it looks like that group was entirely made up of just farmers and nonsense units. You can tell because it just says 109k in the middle, which leads me to believe that it's just mobilized poor, because other armies, there you see, they have some level, literally any level at all, of artillery, which I'm not sure if that's the front or the back, and cavalry stroke armor, which is the front one. Actually, I think armor might show up in the back as well. I'm not entirely sure. For instance, this army is entirely airplanes and armor, so armor does show up in the back and airplanes in the front. Let's see, let's actually make sure we know what this is all. Okay, so artillery is in the back, as is armor, and cavalry and aircraft are in the front. So that makes some sense, although I'm pretty sure artillery, artillery is always in the secondary line unless you don't have any infantry. I guess with the distinct exception of armor, which does take that first row. So if you were to have an army that was entirely armor and artillery, which you shouldn't do, apparently that would just entirely show up in the third column as an entirely artillery army. However, that being said, so we have no infantry at all. This army is entirely infantry, which means it's most likely just mobilized poor, because if they were using actual soldiers, then they always build an army that includes actual soldiers to have artillery and cavalry. So that's basically how we know, and it looks like we will actually have to go defeat these fascist rebels, because otherwise all of the British subjects will just come clean them out, and then Britain will have direct control again, and we don't want that. Also, we can move forward one of these armies and just kind of rush into the breach right there. And we're going to have to send this force over in the other direction because we are being attacked. So we did manage to take over that portion of southern Italy, which is very cool. And this battle's going very much in our favor still, so that's also very good news. Alright, and it looks like we'll be able to push these armies up one layer, which means we can go take Ganja, which is actually, if you look in the game files, province number 420. Fun little bit of trivia there. Alright, and we can actually go cut off that British 109 stack and just make them completely impotent as a force. So we'll do that, because there's no reason not to, and it's really helpful. I'm honestly not afraid at all about this British intervention. It did seem worrying in the most initial moments, but now it's very clearly just kind of turning into just a disaster for the British. And that's good. We don't actually need to win any more battles. Our battle war score is already 50% of the war score, which is kind of redundant, but really the only way to describe that. And it only goes as high as 50%. So any battles we win after this point are really just defeating their ability to fight us. It doesn't actually benefit us in the very most literally and direct way. It just benefits us in the fact that if they can't fight us because they have no armies, then we're more likely to win. Which is, I guess, arguably, and, you know, kind of just definitely a much more I'm not sure what I'm trying to say. By the books, ground level, grounded way of winning, something like that. It's a much more grounded way of winning a war to do so by defeating your enemy's armies than because some arbitrary system basically declares you to be the winner. Let's check out on these armies. It looks like they're all doing well. The army with the 4 defense general has taken a bit of attrition, but not really anything terrible. We will go cycle in a couple extra armies just to give them some support. The British with that massive stack have come and attacked us as we knew they would. And it looks like since we moved some extra forces there, we don't have any dig-in bonuses, which is unfortunate, yet not particularly surprising. We'll go retake these places that have been freed by the British subject states, and definitely go plow into those fascist rebels now that we know we basically need to. Alright, so at any rate, there's no reason not to funnel troops into that battle, so we'll just go absolutely destroy this British army. You already have a pretty big deficit in just battle modifiers if you're the attacker, especially if you're just infantry without support, especially against armies that do have that level of support. So that being said, we're going to defeat that intervention, and yeah, so that's all good. We can even move these forces up a little bit, and that's great because now it means we can release quite a few of these armies that are being held back to just defend the frontier. No longer do they need to be held back to do so. And we've got this British army entirely surrounded. We'll actually pull this troop over there to keep that up. So when they lose the battle, they'll basically just be destroyed, and then we can do the same to the rest of the British forces as we collapse their front line. And that's one of the reasons I'm a little sad that we only have a single province opening us up to the rest of Europe. We could conceivably retreat into our own countryside and allow the enemies to follow us in, and then in that location start to surround them and all that. However, we've only destroyed 100 German brigades only, I know. France is pretty much a lot closer, Italy's a lot closer, and the United Kingdom will be a lot closer, all to being non-relevant entities, essentially. We don't really have the tank production to create any more tanks, so we'll just kind of give up on that for now. What we will do, I believe we can build aircraft fairly consistently, so it's about time we just cycle out our Dragoon forces. So we're going to build at least 3 armies out of our African holdings. Okay, wait. Okay, so only 3 there. And then what would that just be? That'd be 9 of these. We're already at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 12, which is just the rest to get us to 30. Pretty straightforward stuff. Oops, I accidentally just made all of our Asian units into infantry, which is obviously not what we're aiming for right now, but we will just get it to 30 and call it good. Then we'll build 2 more armies. And that'll need 2 engineers, and then 4 airplanes. And it looks like we can still build 1 more, so we'll just do that right now. The important thing is just going to be to constantly make sure that we have troops, essentially. I mean, that's really the one limiting factor. Well, I mean, the biggest limiting factor is that we don't have a navy, so let's just build a ton of dreadnoughts right now. And yeah, just tons of dreadnoughts, tons of battleships, as many cruisers as we can, and it looks like at that point we'll hit our naval force limit, so we'll obviously stop when we hit it. Alright, and besides that, we're basically good to keep on keeping on. That army will be destroyed in a few moments. Other British armies will be destroyed in a few moments, and we'll just try to encircle them. Looks like 2 British armies were completely obliterated. And now we will just wrap around them and retake our countryside. Alright, so we do have to occupy these 3 provinces, so we can't really wrap around too much. And this army will also wrap around over here. And we'll keep troops on the border so they can't invade us that way, although they might come all the way around. And that would be pretty annoying. So we will actually just move forward and guard all the mountain passes. They can come after non-mountain areas if they want to so terribly badly. Alright, meanwhile in Italy, the one battle that really matters is just kind of persisting forever. We can go ahead and turn our people back to fascists again. And now we can pass some reform because everyone's a little bit pissed that the election didn't matter. So congrats, you get some safety regulations in all of those factories. And let's see, where do we have... Okay, no one in Campania has a job, basically, is where that's at. Or in Georgia. Georgia's occupied, so there's really nothing we can do about that, except free them. So let's go free the Georgians. I mean, free, I guess, is a relative term. But you know what I mean. No more foreign occupations. In a non-legal sense, I suppose. And I am tempted to demand of Spain, Melilla, something like that. We'll wait 6 months and then see what we can do, because I don't want to call another election and be stuck with a liberal ruling party again. Just because they're not very effective for what we're trying to do. Our mission to Persia was slowed down, which is deeply, deeply dissatisfying, since at this point our primary objective is to just, you know, be swift with this sort of thing. At any rate, on the bright side, this British army is absolutely doomed. They can't really do anything. They're just lost. 400,000 German forces, German and Allied forces, were destroyed there. I believe this is... Where is our +3 defense guy? We will leave him and just the first random other group. And we'll pull everyone else back, primarily focused on this group, which we will pull just to this first province, since that has the 4 defense general, who is basically the reason we're able to defend that. Well, not entirely, but he makes it so it's much more, well, successful, we'll just say. Meanwhile, we are still winning this fight. British are taking some pretty severe losses. They do have a decent attack general. It doesn't look like we have anyone all that amazing for defense. We'll look around and see if anyone's like just amazingly good, and we'll bring them in. We will bring the tanks and aircraft in, just because those are decent units, and we may as well have the best units we have for that fight, rather than just sitting around collecting dust or whatever it is that they would be doing. You know, we'll just look at all of these at once. +1, nothing, +3 defense, that's really good. We'll bring him in as well. And that should be enough. We'll definitely win the battle with those additional armies. Men for the colonies. Alright, now let's take a look. We are almost halfway through justifying against the Persians, which isn't nearly as good as I would like it to be, but it's not so terrible. Looks like the British are not going to attack there, and we're just countering them. Oh, what is this? Alright, it happened. The moment of absolute horror has come. The Germans have access through Austro-Hungary, and all of our forces are really out of their positions in Italy. Oh, our really good defense general just got smashed into by 90,000 Germans. We're going to have to come up with some sort of coherent defense. On the bright side, their armies are probably not going to go all the way around anymore, since they don't really need to. So we can start pulling a good portion of our forces. Looks like these armies should have been on their way anyway, but I stopped them for whatever reason. Alright, so yeah, we're going to definitely bleed the German armies dry at this rate. Not really how I had hoped to do so. However, we will still do... we will still do so nevertheless. Yeah, we'll bring these Indian forces over as well. These forces aren't really doing anything. They'll fall back and hope, which is really all they can do right now. Let's consider our options. We should probably fall back from Italy entirely. That will open up the path for this army. So we won't actually do that. We'll pull back half of our forces. We'll be sure to avoid the areas currently being fought over. And we'll pull our remaining forces to just fill the border provinces as quickly as they can, to whatever degree they are able. Alright. So that being done, that German army is probably going to just slam into us somewhere. We have hopefully enough forces to man something like a defense just long enough to allow more of our troops to show up. I don't really want to underman this front any more than we already have. Huh. Alright. Oh, cool. They're just going to plow right into this army. So we'll bring these forces over. We're actually losing terribly. What do they have? What do they have? Let's see. Okay, so artillery. Okay, all infantry, dragoons, they really shouldn't be just dominating us as much as they are. And yet they are. So we'll just bring these forces in there. Oh, okay, so they weren't getting military access through Russia. They're invading Russia. And Russia doesn't have any soldiers at all, so that's what just happened. Okay. Weird for one, but we'll just see how this plays out. I think we can manage the defense of that area and just these areas in general. We don't really want to take any more attrition than we absolutely need to, so we will send those forces away to the side a little. I'm worried that the French will cut our forces off, which I really would not be surprised if they did. We did win one of these battles, so that's great news. I could probably just evacuate this province and we would have one less territory to defend. There are practical reasons why that's a good idea, but I don't really want to give up any of our territory if we don't need to. Alright, and we did win that battle. So we'll go circle around and see what we can achieve. Let's not attack them until we have just overwhelming numerical superiority. We will go defend right there. Alright, it looks like the Italians did go ahead and cut our army off, which was exactly the thing that I was worried about happening at the very beginning of this war, was that we would, you know, lose all of our forces in Europe. Obviously, we're not in a position where that seems likely at the moment. They did just attack us in that choke point. However, these forces have all done their jobs, and it looks like the Italian Navy is pretty incompetent, and they just left, so we're going to hurtle across. And there we go. We will just roll up with these reinforcements, and that should almost certainly be enough, at least in the short term, to maintain the defense. Alright, so that's actually very functional. Didn't realize we were creating units there, but of course it makes sense that we would. Alright, oh, and we have our armored units, or at least some amount of armored units there, so that's good news. They can be of great assistance. And we're just slamming into them. We are winning these battles out loud. Oh man, this army is really messed up from that. So we'll pull them back to reinforce. This army will go, and this army will go. And that should be good enough for that battle. We should probably defend Romania. They will try to seep through the Romanian frontier if we don't defend them. So we'll go block that off, and we have enough troops to do so now, so that's very great. This army's probably done sieging, and it is, so we'll just keep going with that. Let's take a look what's all going on. We are 66% in our favor for this war now. I'm not sure when our last election was. Annoyingly, they could stop us from getting our reinforcements, or our armies that we're building, to Istanbul. Sadly, not Constantinople, but we don't want to become Byzantium. The AI will do that in 1936 when we make a time-lapse anyway, I assume. Although I think it's a safe bet that they will. Alright, so that being done, that being accomplished, we have defended ourselves during the one real moment of truth. So we'll just man the border and defend ourselves. And I don't really imagine that's going to be too difficult. And it looks like the Spanish don't really have any forces left, and that appears to be the only force left there. So once we do that, we'll just break through into Italy, which should be a rather straightforward little adventure. We may even be able to just roll back into Sicily, and we were able to do that. Unfortunately, they killed that one unit as it spawned. Oh, we won another battle against the Germans, but there are tons of those, so I suppose it doesn't really matter. And we probably have a really good dig-in bonus now against all of these forces. Yeah, -6 to being dug in, so none of these battles almost certainly will need any reinforcements. So we'll just let them do their thing. We got more prestige gain, so that's very nice. We may as well get something like limited access roads, maybe oil-driven ships. Naval design bureaus to get that build speed down, because we do need to build a large navy relatively quickly. Alright, this army's definitely going to need to be reinforced since there's absolutely nobody in it, and we'll just shovel a ton of soldiers into it. minus 200 something thousand enemy forces, and we're just going to hurtle our way forward, and this is the moment where we win the war. We're just going to break through. That British army is absolutely destroyed. It looks like they sent another one in. We will do the same to them. We'll just actually charge this entire army against them. The rest of these forces will just go and encircle them like so, and that'll be just the death of that British force no matter how good the terrain is. And we have shoveled through, so now it's time to just start splitting these armies up and hurtling into the Italian countryside. All of these armies that we don't need immediately for more combat are going to hurtle forward as well. And that's basically the game. Alright, 140,000 of our troops against 30,000 British is just going to be us walloping them, to use the word wallop. We will actually go back into commerce and industry just because we could use some money right now. We could tax the rich a bit more, and we will. Alright, and that should be good. We're paying a lot in industrial subsidies. While not ideal, I think that's to be expected given just the state of affairs right now, since we are in a massive war. Now let's go just smash into that one other Japanese army, and that should be good. Looks like Germany is now kind of gross, and Sweden is less gross, so that's good for one of them. The Russians now have a decent-sized army, which is going to be inconvenient if we fight them. Oh, and the Germans are still attacking in various areas. So we'll just roll down and move over to there. Alright, so things are going decently well. Looks like the Japanese are attacking us, or we ended up inadvertently attacking them somehow. Those battles are just being won. These forces we can just keep hurtling forward. Victory after victory after victory. That is just going to be the way that this works unless some terrible emergency occurs. Spain is offering us peace. We can't add a war goal against them, but we also don't want to make peace with them until we occupy all of Egypt. So, sucks to be you, I'm sorry. We just can't do anything about that. We will attack Egypt next, though, so Spain, you'll get your moment in the sun, or I guess your moment of not being invaded. But it'll probably be preceded by a moment where we do actually invade them generally, and we'll probably call an election while we're at it. Alright, so the Japanese forces have been obliterated. We'll leave one force back. We could probably just start charging forward with the remaining forces we have on the Italian peninsula, which for whatever reason I almost said was a subcontinent, but I caught myself, but that is interesting. I guess because we've been fighting in India, that explains that. Alright, looks like we just obliterated the British force. More British communists and other rebels are just popping up all over the place, so we'll put those down. Although, realistically, in a moment, we will no longer need to worry about the rebels, since we are in the closing moments before ultimate victory. We'll garrison this border, since I don't really want to have to go back every few months, or I guess every few weeks to defend it. However the time flow has actually been. I'll go shovel all these troops onto the border with Persia, all of the remaining groups, which is really just 2 groups, we will take and bring over here. Looks like the Italian Navy is blocking our forces again, which once again is terribly rude, and there's 300,000 Germans attacking us. Okay, so we may have pushed a little too far forward, a little too swiftly. What are all these armies? Not really even a single army ready to go. These troops we will just charge forward. Looks like there was one full army there. We'll take it up to Italy. Alright, we defeated 100,000 some odd Germans. This force is ready to go. Looks like we can get at least 2 full armies out of it. Alright, so that works. Alright, and we'll take these guys and just shovel them up into the fight. As these people finish their occupations, we'll send them forward. We'll rush these guys up. And we don't really need 2 layers of defense, especially with all of this happening. So we'll just group these guys together. Get some armored units in this force. and just shovel all these troops up, because that looks like it's going to be the defining battle. Unfortunately, the Germans have access through Switzerland, so we might not be able to just obliterate them. Spain's still offering peace. We are still not accepting that. Alright. Looks like Romania's doing their thing. That's pretty cool. These forces are all kind of on border provinces, so we'll leave them there so that the enemy doesn't hurtle into our rear. But we will do stuff like that where we just kind of move them all kind of wonky style. Italy has a bunch of revolters, which we are, well, I mean, it's not surprising, just given their circumstances. We defeated that army, and we will just move forward with this group. Alright, so it is going well. I mean, definitely, we are speaking about the war while occupying further and just generally deeper into enemy territory than we have ever before in the war. We will try to block the Germans from doing anything crazy. They are seeping behind the lines a little bit. Let's see, they have 500 brigades left. That's at least 100 brigades in the battle, at least 130. So that's going well for us. Let's see. Keep smash the fash, I suppose. Not that I... Well, let's not read too much into these statements in their modern terminology or what have you. And wait a minute. The Soviet Union. Alright. And that means their capital... Oh, so that's probably what happened. Let's get rid of all these pop-ups. We don't really need them, and it doesn't look like anything super important happened. Alright, they went and attacked some of our areas where we could have just went and reinforced some troops. We'll go... Ooh, they would almost cut this army off. Hopefully we'll beat them there. Oh, and because I clicked that... Alright, that is pretty annoying. We are moving up from southern Italy. Great job on the defense, those armies. Alright, so what happened, I think, was they moved their capital from St. Petersburg, which has been safe and in the hands of the government this whole time, moved it to Moscow at the end of the war. Moscow's been occupied by communists. All of a sudden, Soviet Union is declared. Because all of a sudden, the capital province has been occupied by rebels for X and X many days. So, you know, sucks to be the Russian aristocracy, there we go. Man, that is the downside of not being able to do multiple takes. At any rate, we are pressing forward. That battle seems like it's going pretty well. We don't really want to cut them off entirely, because if we do, then there's a very real chance that what will end up happening is they'll just retreat into a place that we cannot follow them, and that would suck a lot. Long live Greece. Alright, we get to go attack Persia, which means we get to go fabricate on Egypt. We'll go do that first. Conquest, start that off. Alright, Persia. Oh, what? Oh, right, we still have to select that. Alright, and there we go. Charging forward. Pretty straightforward sort of little war. We'll occupy every single province we border. Probably a good start. Alright, I want to just smash that one German army, since it's really inconveniently placed, and hopefully they aren't just amazing at defense. And it looks like they're not, so that's good. They're also attacking us, which they seem to be doing with a level of competency that is not ideal. And they're bringing in a lot of troops as well, so that also doesn't help. Alright, on the bright side, we are hurtling into Persia. And we'll just hurtle along back. Battle victory after battle victory. Looks like they're retreating up to Venice, but that's just something they'll do. And we'll just go follow them. We did win that battle, and that's very nice. Some of these armies are really undermanned, so we can't really do much with them at the moment. And we don't really want to do very much until we win these major battles. Occupations and things. Alright, maybe we'll be able to catch that Persian army, and we did. Alright, cool. And that's all done. get some increased relations, move on against the Persians and other groups. Victories and victories and victories. Alright, what do we need to do? Not much, actually. We're doing well. We will send these armies across and then forward into Italy. And I don't imagine it'll take very long before they give up, since at this point, let's see what the war score is at. 82% in our favor. Ideally, I would like to just devastate Germany. The reason for that being quite obviously that Germany is really the biggest threat to our people and way of life and what have you in the long run. So if we can just obliterate them before 1936 and we have to give up control, then that would probably be the most, just the best thing long term for the safety of our people. Now, is that something we really should do? Yes. Is it something we're practically able to do? That's a harder question. Since whatever we end up doing, they'll probably just try to bounce back in some way. I think the most effective thing we could do to really just neuter the German state, and this actually is kind of ironic, the most effective way we could neuter the German state is by giving Poland all of their German cores and just pushing Germany further to the west. They won't really get all that much, but they'll get a decent amount. We could maybe release not Persia, obviously. We could release Prussia from Germany. Maybe. I'm not actually sure if that's something we'll be allowed to do. I'm not sure if they got rid of the ability to do that. Looks like this army's going to just get smashed apart. I can't believe we didn't occupy that province. We really need to keep that maintained because that would just cut all of our armies off if someone took it. Admittedly, if someone took it and was tactically effective with it, which is a different thing entirely. Let's see, this army can fall back since God knows it needs it. Diplomatic influence and things. Occupied Persia, let's just make peace with them, take all that stuff. And there we go, one more war with Persia and we win against Persia forever. We actually don't need to keep these forces on the Persian border, instead we need to hurdle them over against Egypt. And that will be all we need there. Alright, so that's all going well. Should go ahead and get some technology. Not revolution and counter-revolution, but we'll get time-saving machines and all sorts of things. Alright, we won a major battle against the Germans. It looks like they're retreating into our occupied territory, so that army's basically just going to die. And we accidentally moved everyone back, but it looks like one group stayed, so that's actually good. Alright, and that should just destroy that force. Oh, it looks like we're under attack, and considerably so, so we'll go reinforce, and that'll probably tempt them into attacking Brescia. What is Spain offering anyway? Egypt getting their stuff. Egypt getting their stuff. Well, let's see. We should probably hold another election. I think we can get away with it now. Alright. And yeah, we should also be defending Trevesco. Although at this point I don't really think we need to worry about German forces hurtling around the rear. Still probably not something we should assume. Now I'll just lurch forward with these troops. Alright, so things are working out. Now, what else do we need to do? The Germans are at 400 brigades, the French at 27, the British at 54. Their empires are all very clearly just not performing as well as they were at the beginning of this war. I mean, that's going to happen when your entire military is just obliterated. And if we get a jingoism event during this next election, then we will go ahead and get Spanish Al Rif. And once we have Spanish Al Rif, then, well, that's basically all we need from Spain. We'll take Spanish Al Rif, as well as Egypt from them. And then we don't really need anything else. Our navy, our replacement naval units are being completed. Hopefully they're not hurtling towards Istanbul to die, so we'll actually turn off the naval rally point so they're not tempted. And we are winning all of our battles currently being fought. We will move this army up because there's rebels anyway. And then we'll probably move them back once we defeat the rebels. Oh. Oh, we lost right there, and the army was completely obliterated. Wow. Yeah, that just happened. We'll go destroy these enemy armies. I didn't realize we were losing that. That's unfortunate. That's the only army we've had get completely wiped out in this entire war. And that was entirely because I just wasn't paying enough attention to it. Doesn't make me feel great. Let's see. We have another army group ready to go. So we'll just shovel these guys on over. Alright, so that all considered, things are going still pretty well. We've won the occupation of Ravenna, former Roman capital, during their twilight, well, centuries, I suppose. Alright, and we'll just keep cleaning house of all these forces. Alright, so it's going well. The Japanese are back. That's kind of annoying. Not really anything we can do about them. We don't have enough troops in the theater. Other than that, though, we're cleaning house pretty decently. 200,000 Italians and whatnot were there. We'll move these groups forward. The rest are going to pull back and reinforce. And that's one of the other reasons why it's good that we have defenses all across areas they could show up. Occupation of Medina is complete. The Italians are getting quite a few rebels fairly consistently. They can't really spend any time succeeding anywhere because, well, they're just being occupied so thoroughly. Eventually we'll get to Rome, but probably from the north. Our southern armies, well, haven't been doing too well. They were holding out, though, and that is the important thing, up until we kind of just forgot about them. Anyway, we'll just smash all the armies that killed them. And really all of the armies in general. So that's crazy. This war has gone on for, it'll probably be done at the end of this episode, maybe? But that's still a 2-hour-long Great War. And it's not even a Great War, it's just the great powers of the world trying to kill us, and us trying to not allow them to do that. Alright, so that's all good. Oh, hey, look at that. Now they're offering us peace. So do we take it, or do we press forward? We've basically won. We can press for more concessions from Spain. I do want to keep a causeway open to Spain, just to make sure that that happens. We're also going to send the peace deal ourselves, just because I don't trust the AI not to avoid giving us a single war goal or something annoying like that. Something annoying, and at this point potentially just game ruining, since there isn't much time left. So yeah, we could just peace out with them and leave these armies in Italy. When we peace out with Spain, then they can just move back. Spain only has 68 brigades, and that's not really anything. Germany is down to a mere 324. Alright, let's go ahead and just offer them our own peace deal. It's only 90 war score, though. Well, that's not nearly enough. If we can take over British Tlemcen, if we can take over the other portion of British North Africa, then we don't need to fight them in another war at all. We'll only need to fight the French and to just take their African parts, and only then because it's kind of annoying. Not even then because it's, you know, amazing or anything. We'll go ahead and assert our position. There we go, another 500,000 enemy forces and 30,000 of our troops wounded or killed. So we'll just push up to the French border. We may even occupy Paris if we feel like it, and if we don't get a jingoism event up until then, we might just want to keep throwing or keep having elections. I almost said keep throwing elections. We aren't really getting any sort of jingoistic events, and that is deeply unfortunate. Hopefully we do get at least one. Alright, so mission to Egypt slowing down, that's not great. Other than that, things are all going pretty smoothly. Go run these guys over to, I guess, Alexandria, or just across from it. Prep for that. Japanese are attacking, so good luck, Japan. But we have defender's advantage right now. Looks like one of our navies was trying to go somewhere, and that just died immediately, as it would. Yeah, we may as well just start pouring into France. It's not like it really matters. And this gives us a higher chance of France just collapsing into some sort of weird flavored rebellion. And then we can just push to Spain naturally. And then the whole world will hope that our people become slightly more jingoistic, and thus accept adding one more war goal. Looks like the Germans are attacking us, but not in any numbers that really matter, although now all of a sudden in numbers that really matter. Where is this happening to us? Right there. Right, because they can just cross over from Switzerland, so we'll have to maintain forces on that border pretty much forever, I say, and then pull them off. Oh, we'll move and replace them. So there we go, that'll be good. They are sending quite a few troops. That's also not necessarily bad, since if they have a rebellion or anything like that, they'll just collapse fairly quickly. Japanese force has been defeated but not destroyed, so we'll chase after them. And yeah, come on guys, let's get some jingoism. Do these jingo things. Win some elections and whatnot. I mean, I guess ultimately we don't want the election to go through all the way, but it's going to have to. Okay, I guess we'll give people residency. Wait a minute, did we lose in Marathas? We did, because of anarcho-liberals. So we'll just smash through those. At this point, we really don't need to be defeating their rebels anymore. We really don't even need to be occupying India, so we'll just pull these troops back. They're already fighting, but they'll just pull back when they're done. Alright, I guess these troops just didn't go there, so we'll send them there again and hope they actually make it this time. Liberal and anarcho-liberals have won, so guess what? We're going to go ahead and be fascists. That kind of made our people a bit upset, but we'll hold another election just to make it up for them, make it up to them. Now, I don't really think that it's, well, I mean, obviously it's not guaranteed that we'll get a jingoism encouraging event. At this point, though, we don't really need to fight anyone that we're fighting now another time, except maybe once, maybe if we can't add a war goal. So 6 months isn't really the end of the world, even insofar as that is concerned. And also really increases the odds that their countries will break into pieces at the end of the war. And that really is the objective at this point, since, you know, the weaker all the other powers are, the more powerful we'll become. And we don't even want to peace out with places like Spain or with the countries that give us access to Spain until after we're done annexing Egypt. And we haven't even begun doing that. We're just fabricating right now. So even in that sense, we are pretty decent with the status quo as it is. We'll pull these armies back a little to reinforce, charge the rest of these forces forward. Occupations and things all coming through. We'll just go smash into that army. 108,000 German losses, 18,000 of ours. This army definitely needs to go back and reinforce as well. This army will just go smash rebellions. There constantly seem to be rebellions in Italy. Alright, French have some tanks. That's not great. Not really surprising at this point, since it is pretty far into the game. We will charge forward pretty far into the game, I say, when it's almost done. 7 years left. A little less than that. Looks like we left a gap open, so they're just going to be hurtling on through. So we'll go ram these forces in that direction, these forces in the other direction, and just clean that up a little. Good thing that's speeding up. Alright, please give us jingoism. If there's anything I could ask for, it would be jingoism, and I am asking for it, so come on. Just need that jingoism. Alright, we'll move that army up. This army will just kind of take its place. I guess people get full citizenship now. I know we just totally flip-flopped. All we need is jingoism, that's all that matters. Alright, everyone's pulling back, so we get to just go chase them a bit. And that's going very well. Moving forward across the frontier. Alright, yeah, so we're just winning this out loud. I mean, we've won. We have won. At this point, there's really no reason for us to be continuing the war. Other than that whole jingoism thing, which is actually, you know, the reason of reasons. Make it so that the fight was actually worth it to a degree. I mean, that's obviously hyperbole. It'll be worth it when... Well, yeah, I mean, really, it's worth it when we do all this damage to our enemies. So, the longer we just stay in the war after we've already clearly won does help us with that, in that regard. Because hopefully France will break. If they're anything like historical France, then they'll just kind of do that on their own. Let's try to... Okay, unfortunately we are attacking a larger Spanish force. Although it looks like we're doing well against them. We will just attack that British force. We do have to keep troops on the borders surrounding Switzerland. That's a little annoying, but not too terrible. We will run these forces up. And victory after victory. We might be able to just encircle Switzerland, and that'll free up all those troops. Now we could even just go and circle that one Spanish army. We have all of these groups, which are now back up to full health. Let's see, we'll stick to interventionism. And come on, guys. One jingoism event, that's all we need. Alright, we are almost ready to declare war against Egypt. And the important thing is that we accept the Spanish offer with the Egyptian offer visible. Once again, we'll justify war against a place first and foremost. Can we make them into a puppet? We can make Ukraine into a puppet. Okay, good news. So we'll justify liberate country against Austro-Hungary. That'll get Romania back their cores. Declare this conquest war against Egypt. And now we can measure this whole portion of the world's quasi-independence in a matter of months, maybe even weeks. So come on, world. Get us jingoism. We just need that one amazing thing. 3.5%. Come on, people. Alright, so no real luck getting jingoism so far. We still have time. We'll keep smashing into these armies. Keep just making things happen. Oh, we do have to move this army back. Oh, and a German group snuck through. This is exactly what I mean, it's a small army, so it doesn't matter really, but it is kind of annoying. Alright. All sorts of little notifications. Let's see. Get some economic responsibility. And we will just move forward. Now we were discovered against Austria. Egypt is offering us peace. We will hold that out but not accept it. And now we have to be very careful about spamming the enter button. In fact, I'll just decline it for now. We'll accept the next one. Or maybe not. We'll accept one that happens in the future. Alright, we beat the Spanish. Forget that there's an opening there. So we'll just man that, but we'll put these forces further. The Spanish are retreating into Toulouse. And that's good. Alright. Looks like these armies, we really didn't need to have them all piled up like they are, but that's how they are. We'll just send them forward. Alright. Yeah, not really anything else that needs doing. Small forces, that's always good news. It means the enemies don't really have any forces left to really bring to bear against us. And that's pretty cool. Really makes this pretty close to the end there. We do have some Jacobin rebels, interestingly enough. We'll just bring an army down and just smash them apart and come back up and defend the border. In fact, we'll take a non-border force and do that. Alright, oh, and we're already at an hour. Wow. This actually flew by. I think I have time to record another one just right now. Since we really should stop. When is this election going to be done? In October. We'll go until the finish of the election. The finish. To the, I guess, results of the election. And hopefully get some jingoism. It's the only drug we need. Jingoism. Alright, so yeah, at this point we're just in the occupying all of our enemies stage of the war, and that's always really the part where we've won. I really do want jingoism though. This is such a... Oh, thank God. We've done it. Okay, we're patriots. We're totally gonna fight for our country. Let's see, what's everyone's jingoism at? 13.28. Yeah, right? Alright, add war goal. Place in the sun. Tlemkin, 12 war score, can't do it. Okay. Well, that sucks. Well, we're still taking Spanish Al Rif. Yeah, is it a colony or is it an actual state? It's still a colony. Place in the sun. Spanish Al Rif, only 2 war score, doesn't matter too much to them. We still have an extra 10 war score before, well, we're really done, I suppose, against them. Them just being everyone else. We could probably take something like Bas Congo. Could maybe take over West Sahara. Let's see. Is it a state of the French? It might be. It is. Acquire state. West Sahara. 11 war score. That's bothersome. Well, let's see then. I don't want to split anything else off because that would just look disgusting. Did they really have anything else that we want? We could take British Punjab. Not that that's really amazing or anything. Man, and here I am running long over a single colony in the end of a giant Great War. Which I guess is how Great Wars usually end. At least the first one, more or less. Can't really kick Britain out of China, although that would be a pretty cool thing to do in the very end. Probably don't have time for that, though. I guess British Punjab will have to do. Oh, and it's the first thing that pops up. Alright, cool. Take that, British. You just don't get to keep that. We could take French Madras. Or really anything else from the French. French South Madagascar. Why not? Well, actually, if we're taking that, we may as well go after something like French North Angola. Take that too. Is there anything else we want? I mean, at this point, we're just adding whatever we feel like. We have 5 diplomatic points left. It has to be something really small, like British Ost-Hanover. Although we already took something from the British and the French, so we can't add anything else for a while. Everything Italy owns is too expensive, except maybe Italian West Africa, and I'm not sure if we really want that. Just because it'll make the borders look a little bit more ridiculous. So I don't actually really want that at all. And it is a state, so it'd probably be expensive. So we'll just make peace with the Germans. They would not accept this? Oh, okay. Okay. Well, back to occupying them. Alright, so yeah, with that all said and done, we are going to have to keep the Great War going. Sorry for running long and then not ending it. We can, however, make peace with Spain and Egypt, but we'll do that next time as well. Well, no, I want there to be at least some visible level of progress. So let's see. Let's actually see if this works. Oh, right, we can't propose peace for a few more days. So we'll just do this. We'll have to just chill. Chill for a moment on, I guess, just the ruins of Europe. And I believe the Spanish should send a peace offer to us at the same time as we're able to send one to them. Alright, I guess not. Well, whatever. Alright, so let's double check how this works. Okay, so if my theory is correct, they'll accept it. Egypt is much larger now. Congratulations, Egypt. You have a lot more of your stuff back. Annex Egypt. And there we go. So that's pretty awesome, pretty gamey. One thing you can do, if say you're America, is if you had, you know, this weird little section, you could just release Canada there and then force Britain to release all of Canada and then just annex it from that. So that's really cool. It's a thing you can do. Yeah, it's a pretty gamey little thing, but it works. And now we have all of this portion of Africa, and that's really one of the main things that we had wanted. We'll go to war against Sokoto at some point. In I guess a couple years. And the Germans still won't accept our peace, but they probably will in a moment. They don't have any brigades left. And we do need to peace them out so that we can go to war with the British one more time before the end of the world. Or, you know, before 1936, however it is. Alright, so thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Sorry for running a bit long on this one, but I think it all works out. Alright, have a great day. Oh, and this time I will actually post the war score, or the battle deaths and all that. I forgot to last time.